So we finally got the Platinum Trophy in Cyberpunk, which as always means it is time for tips and tricks I wish I knew earlier. As many of you have probably realized after just a few hours of gameplay, the damage of the weapons on this game is based on whatever level you were when you picked them up or crafted them or bought them from the shop. Which means you might want to hold off on spending all of your eddies until you're a little bit of a higher level. Don't worry, this isn't one of the tips, this is just something we need to remember taking into account what we're about to explain next. Throughout the game, we're going to find quite a few iconic weapons. One of the unique factors about the iconic weapons is the fact that when we find one, we automatically get the crafting sheet to create the better version of the very same weapon. So this means, for example, when we pick up the blue rare version of the Fenrir, we also get the crafting sheet to create the purple epic version of the very same weapon, but we do need to use the blue version, let's say, of the weapon as a crafting material to upgrade it, which means we only really get one shot at this. So before you decide to craft the better version of your iconic weapons, you may want to hold off until a little bit later game when you're higher level, as that is going to be the base damage set for it for the rest of the game. Now that we've started on the topic of crafting, something not many people know is that the higher your engineering skill level is, the more powerful your crafted weapons are going to be. So the best and fastest way to level up our engineering skill is to shoot enemies through the walls by using charged up tech weapons. So if we have a high engineer level combined with the field technician and cutting edge perks in the crafting tree, the weapons we create are going to be quite a bit more powerful than anything you can buy in shops or pick up off the floor. Also, we need to remember is that the level of each individual skill is limited by whatever that attribute's level is. So let's say our technical ability is level 8. None of the skills inside that tree can go past level 8 until we level up our technical ability, which means that engineering and crafted is ceiled by whatever level our technical ability is at that moment. A few more things I want to talk about before we move on from crafting is before we craft a weapon, especially if we're going to be wasting really important materials for legendaries or iconic weapons, make sure you save game before you craft it, as every time you craft a weapon, it's randomized on the stat bonuses you get. Let's say instead of poison damage, it might do electric damage, etc, etc. Stuff like that is randomized when you craft it. So if you save game before and then craft it and you don't get the exact stats you want, you can always reload your save and then simply recraft it again until you get exactly the weapon you're looking for your build. You can do a very similar thing at the shops. In any weapon vendor, if you look through the weapons and you don't get the exact stats you want on a specific weapon, simply wait for 24 hours in-game by skipping the time, and it will have reshuffled all of these stat bonuses on the weapons that the vendor offers. Okay, and for the final thing on crafting, and then I promise we'll move on to other topics, is something that many people overlook is that you can craft any type of ammo down below in the crafting menu for really cheap. You can make cases of any type of ammo by using common crafting materials, which is really useful, and I didn't realize until like way near the end of the game. Okay, so finally moving out of the crafting aspect of the game, a few quick tips that many people have maybe overlooked. The first thing is that when you reload, make sure you do it with at least one or more bullets still left in the clip, as the reload animation is quicker if you have any ammo left in the magazine than if you completely drain it and it's on 0. So if you can get in a good habit of always reloading when you're near empty instead of waiting until you're completely out, it's definitely going to help you out in some of those intense situations. In this game, you're going to spend a lot of time checking your map. So instead of having to go into the menu and then clicking on the map, if you hold down the touchpad on your controller pad for just an extra second, you'll go straight to the map instead of having to go through the menu every single time. I don't really know what button it is on other consoles, but whatever button it is to open up your menu, just hold it down for a little while longer and it should take you straight to your map. If you're trying to grind and level up quickly, it's worth noting that the higher the difficulty you play on, the more experience points you're going to get. This may seem kind of common knowledge for many people, but in a lot of games these days, that's not really a function, so it's worth noting that in this game it is. So if you've lowered it down to easy to kill enemies quicker so you can level up faster, it is a little bit counterproductive. I'd say normal is probably the best way to go, as you get a little bit more XP and you don't have to play as slow as you would on the harder difficulties. Oh, and one more quick side note, the song you've been looking for that keeps on coming on the radio in the car is called Only Son by Conrad Old Money. Now, we're not going to go into what weapons you should buy, what build you should make, as that is completely everybody's choice. However, there are two pieces of cyberware you should 1,000,000% definitely get in this game. The first and most important by far is the double jump. This can be bought from the Ripper Dock in Japantown over here on the map. And it may not seem like much if you've never used it, but once you start using the double jump feature in this game, it feels like the whole map was designed for double jump. It feels so much nicer to traverse through the city with double jump. Actually, you don't have to walk all the way around these long roads sometimes just to get to the next level up. You can just simply double jump up onto stuff, and it is incredible how much the map really opens up and how quickly you can get from point A to point B with the double jump feature. And on top of that, if you're a little bit creative, it has extra features such as safer landings. So if you're going to jump down from a height, you can sort of double jump halfway down, and it cancels out the momentum you'd get from the top, so you take less or no fall damage whatsoever. This is a little bit limited, as if you fall a certain amount after a while, it won't let you do the second jump, but it's definitely pretty useful for jumping down from those big highways. And the second feature of the double jump you can actually use for infinite sprint. While sprinting at full speed, if you double jump, you don't really lose any velocity, and while you're dropping back down to the ground, you actually recover all of the stamina you consumed before the jump, so by the time you land, you can continue sprinting and then double jump again, and continuously do this to get around the map, as let's face it, driving on this game is absolutely horrible. I don't know why in the year 2077, apparently they uninvented traction control on every vehicle in existence for whatever reason, but driving is just really not fun in this game whatsoever. So I will gladly take the quality of life that double jump can give us just for getting around the map way over driving any of the vehicles. And the second piece of cyberware you definitely want to pick up is called Second Heart. This can be bought from the Ripper Dock in southwest of Haywood. What it essentially does is when you die, you can revive every couple of minutes or so, which especially if you're playing on harder difficulties, it's really, really useful. Now before we leave the Ripper Docks, something the game doesn't explicitly tell you is that you can actually respec your perk points. There's no way of respecing your attribute points, unfortunately, but the points you spend on perks can actually be reset. By buying the Tabula e Rosa from any of the Ripper Docks, they cost 100,000, which is pretty steep, but let's face it, the economy on this game is pretty broken. Everything on this game is expensive as hell, and you barely get any money for anything, which is why we're going to transition into why I don't feel bad about using the next, let's call it either exploit, bug, or glitch, whatever you want to call it, to farm infinite money fairly quickly just to help out a bit in this game, because all the cars and weapons and everything is just extremely expensive for the amount of money you get. So even though usually we don't really promote these sort of exploits, in this game I'm definitely going to share it with you guys. So to farm infinite money, first we will need to do one specific side job. That's going to be the one located right here that I'm showing you on screen. If we come down here behind this gas station, we'll see a group of people sort of chatting. They've found this briefcase. And by found it, I mean they stole it off the dead guy around the corner. If you could just scare them off or kill them, whatever you prefer to do with them, you'll need to find the key to the suitcase, which can be found on the dead body just in a dumpster the other side of the same gas station. Then activate the drop or whatever, go to the location, kill off the enemies, and then inside this shuttle that has come down from space is going to be a map. Now this map is very, very unique in this game. It cost 4,000 eddies. So what we're going to do is go to any of the drop points on this game. Those are those locations where you can sort of sell anything off. And what you want to do is sell it to this machine for 4,000 eddies. And then notice when you try to buy it back off of the machine, it also cost 4,000. So just buying that back is not going to help us at all. What we want to do is instead of buying it back, let the machine have it, back out of the machine, and then instantly go back into the machine and notice now it's selling it for 5 eddies. So obviously buy this back for 5 eddies, go into your own inventory, sell it back to the machine for another 4,000. Then exit out again, go back into the machine, buy it again for 5, and you can see where this is going, simply rinse and repeat. There is one small issue you may notice, is that each machine only has a total of 20,000 eddies each 24 hours. So once you've sold it back enough times to the machine, wait 24 hours in-game by skipping time, this is instant, then go back into the machine and repeat the process. Make sure before you skip time in-game that you bought the map back from the machine. Never leave the map in the machine before waiting the 24 hours. If not, you may lose the map forever. But yeah, this is the fastest way to farm money in Cyberpunk so far. If I were you, I would sit there doing this for a while just in case they patch it at any point. Just stack up on a ton of eddies just in case it gets patched in the future. Though I would say there's many things they need to fix before this, so you're probably going to be okay for quite some time. Something else we should definitely mention if you are just starting out in the game, be very careful with your mods, as once you've put a mod on one of your weapons, the only way to remove a mod is by replacing it with another mod, and when you do this, it will completely destroy the first mod that you put onto the weapon. So maybe just think about that before you go put in your legendary mod on the first piece of trash weapon you find. Though if you really do screw up and there's a really good mod that you accidentally put onto the wrong weapon, there is a perk in the crafting skill tree, I believe it is, that allows you to scrap a weapon and retrieve all of the mods that it had on it without wrecking them. Anyway, I believe that is everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you guys are enjoying the game. Remember to leave in the comments down below any tips and tricks you guys have as well to help out the rest of the community. I hope you did find this video helpful. If you did, don't forget that thumbs up button, subscribe for more content coming very soon, and we'll see you next time.